Hello and welcome to Wellness Wednesday Live. I'm Bethany Zell, the Program Director for Healthy You at Cary Medical Center. And I am joined today by Danielle Langley, who is the Director of our Aroostook Council for Healthy Families. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, we are so glad you could be here because this whole month of June, we are talking about healthy families. How can families be healthy? What kinds of resources are available for them here in Aroostook County locally? And of course, we always have some watchers that aren't local. And so we're always looking for good information and health and wellness tips and things that we can share with people who might be following our Healthy You program, regardless of where they are. So why don't we begin by you telling us a little bit about the Aristic Council for Healthy Families and what you guys offer?
So we have two main programs. One is the Mean Families Home Visiting Program. This is open to all expectant families and families with a newborn. Visits include talking about the child's development. We bring an interactive parent-child activity. We're really looking to learn how parenting is going for them and how their family's doing and where we can offer support. We also have play groups. We do some screenings like around child development and home safety. And we also help connect families to local resources. So that's one program we have. The other one is the Prevention Council. And so we have parenting programs open to all parents and caregivers everywhere from families that have children birth to 12 years old. And with that program, we also have some professional trainings, safe sleep, period of purple crying, mandated reporter. And so all of our services through both programs are free and open to the public.
That's awesome. And I know you recently held, was it a first 5 years program? So I feel like that would fall under the Prevention Council work.
Yes, yep, it does. And we're right in the middle of that series of for that parent program. It's been really good.
Awesome. Well, what kinds of challenges are you noticing for families in Aroostook? And I know obviously we've kind of been in this weird, surreal world for over a year now with COVID. And so I'm sure that's not helped any of the challenges that existed ahead of COVID. But what were some of those common themes?
I think the thing we noticed the most with COVID restrictions is that people's support systems shrunk when we had the restrictions of not being around each other. And so families suddenly faced those challenges of remote school learning, and their childcares were closed down, started back up, closed back down. So families were dealing with those significant changes on top of not being able to access those support systems that they've had. All parents during this time, regardless of how many children they have or the ages, or like what their family looks like, all parents have been expected to manage so much, and it's just really been challenging. I think the other piece that we've noticed is around financial jobs being disrupted, and that coupled with those added responsibilities of remote learning and childcare have really stretched people financially. The cost of living feels like it's gone up, but income has not mirrored that increase. So that really puts a heavy burden on families, just those basic needs of like diapers, wipes, healthy foods are expensive. And so those budgets have gotten stretched, and it's been really hard for families to manage that.
And as far as COVID goes, I know we're starting to open up now, but how did COVID impact you guys as an organization? How did it impact how you delivered these programs and these resources, and how are those things now
Our,
changing again
yeah,
as they open up?
our largest program is the Main Families Home Visiting Program. So the home in that got impacted pretty significantly. We went from seeing families in their homes. Within 2 weeks, we were doing everything virtually. So we've continued to visit with families, enroll new families, graduate out families, but we've done that all through Zoom or phone contacts. So it's been huge.
Has it been just as impactful, would you say? Like, do you feel like it's as effective in the virtual space as it is going into those homes?
Yeah, I think it's different. I mean, for sure, but we're just really fortunate that we had such flexible, committed staff that figured out this whole different way of connecting with families on the phone, or, just seeing them on the screen. Everybody's comfort level with the Zoom screen time has increased, but it was new learning. I do feel like the program's been successful. We've been able to maintain contacts. Living in Aroostook County, our travel time has always been a challenge, to say the
Cumbersome, I'm
least.
sure.
And so it's been, what I've heard from visitors is that if a family can't meet with them on one day, their ability to reschedule them in the same week has been there. So they have just been absolutely amazing at how resilient and how committed they are to the families they serve. We didn't know how it would go, and we didn't know if we'd be able to enroll new families, but we're on pace, if not a little ahead of what we've done in person. I think travel, like when we think about the time that takes up, is something that we're seeing for real. But we've been doing some virtual play groups too. So parents with kiddos under the age of 5, and our staff have done an amazing job. Parents have been super brave to bring their little ones, because kids are unpredictable. You never know what they're going to be like that day. But yeah, I think it has been successful.
That's awesome. And I think those connections are what make Aroostook County awesome to begin with. But I think, even if there is that little shift in that mindset of going from the in-person to the virtual, I think we're just so needing that connection. And especially as this has progressed and
Yeah,
obviously not even over yet. So,
right.
we got to adapt, and I'm glad to hear that the programs are so resilient and still being very impactful. And even, I mean, I totally get that transportation and travel piece, as someone who serves most of the county with my breast cancer work, I
Mhm.
know it's a lot to travel around, even at the minimal level that I do. So going to home visits, you do serve the entire
Yep.
Aroostook County area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we
So
have offices in Holton, Caribou, and Fort Kent, and we cover every town
yeah.
in Aroostook County.
Ooh, and so for those who are watching who aren't from the county, it's about a 2 to 3 hour drive almost from the northernmost point to the southernmost point of
Absolutely.
Aroostook County. And, there aren't a lot of crossroads or back roads to take to shorten that trip. It
No,
is what it is.
it's extensive, yes.
So I definitely appreciate and can see where the online option would definitely be a time saver and probably make resources that much more accessible. So that's fantastic. So do you have any, I guess, general tips for healthier families, especially now in the summer months as we're kind of coming into the season of things opening back up and people coming out of quarantine or isolation? What kinds of things are you suggesting to the families that you serve?
I think that summers are busy for families too, whether we were remote learning or not. That's You're juggling kids in a different way for that too. So really thinking about making meaningful connections. It's more about the quality of the time, not the quantity. Keeping it simple, connect with your child in ways that feels right for your family. And simple things like smiles, hugs, eye contact, saying thank you when someone helps you, and I love yous can have such a major impact on your long-term relationship with your child. Um, and so those simple things are, I think we overlook them sometimes, the value, but they're so important. Those We're always thinking, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I know a lot of times people talk about like work-life balance for those of us who are working moms.
Mhm.
And, I always really prefer that work-life blend where I can mix those things together and bring my family into the work that I'm doing. And thankfully, my job gives me a lot of opportunities to be out in the community and do volunteer work. And so I bring my kids and my family right along with me and try and involve them and get them to
Yeah.
um, be involved in our communities and give back where they can. So as much as I
Absolutely. And I think sometimes we think that we need to create opportunities to interact or be with our family and our kids, and just taking those everyday things that we need to do, like bedtime or bath time, going to get the mail, taking the dog out. Like when we can learn to be present and to turn off those distractions. So like when we think of distractions, the obvious ones are like our cell phones at. Um, the not so obvious ones are the chatter that's in our head, thinking about like what went on during our day, if it was rough, like replaying that in your head, thinking about what do you have to do before the day ends, what are you going to do tomorrow. When we can learn ways to turn that off, to quiet it, and just be really present with our kids, those are moments that we don't have to do anything other than quiet the chatter so we can really be with our kids and hear what was asked them. So like, what was your day like? How did it go today? We're
can.
sending that message that they're important to us, what they're feeling matters, and that they can come to us.
Yeah, and creating those moments, being deliberate in making things a moment because you really never know. It's interesting. I'm going through and going through my parents' home, the home that I grew up in as a child. And it's amazing. Just I think of all the moments in that house and each item. And as we're going through, it's like these memories are tied to those things and the places in that home. And, I hope as a mom that I'm giving that same thing to my own children. So you can make a moment out of anything. You can make anything special. And my mom is really good about doing that. And so there are many, many moments that I'm reliving right now as I go through her home. Um, so upcoming things, I know you guys are really great about having like a monthly calendar of events. And so what do you guys have on the horizon? You're in the middle of the first 5 years. So
We
that's
are.
too late.
So
Are
we
you going to offer that again?
Yes, yep, for sure. We have our monthly Main Families virtual play group right now, and we're going to be posting within the next week or so our schedule of activities. So we'll have some parenting programs for parents who have children birth to 12. There'll be a couple of different offerings. We'll have our professional trainings, the Safe Sleep, Mandated Reporter, and then it'll probably be in August, but we'd like to start a parent support group as well. So we're excited to be offering those and get to meet more families. And we're hoping that in the coming months, where that makes sense, the groups and, in home will take a little bit longer because kiddos don't always, like toddlers don't always understand all the rules that we have to follow nowadays. And so we'll be doing that. The good news, like I think the silver lining that we've learned is that virtual has opened up so many different opportunities for us. So there will be virtual components to all of our services. So we're hoping that that supports both our staff and the families that we're hoping to connect with.
Yeah, it definitely makes it more accessible to more people. And I've been finding that even with the Healthy You program, instead of just having one program in one town, having
Yeah.
it virtually, you can have people present in real life, in real time. And you can also, have the recording and have it be accessible to anybody at any time, whether the live program worked for their schedule or not. So,
Right. So having
I'm glad.
someone from Fort Kent to
Yeah.
Smyrna, they can be in the same place, the same
Yep.
space at the same time. So that's been really great, I think, across the board.
Yeah. Silver lining. We got to look for those wherever we
You
can,
do.
for sure. Well, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing all the awesome stuff going on. And for those who are watching, come on back in 2 weeks. We're going to be talking about some more healthy family information with our coordinator at our public relations department, Beth Singer, as she shares about tech talk for seniors and making some of those internet connections a little more accessible for our older populations. So we're talking about families on each end of the spectrum. But
Great.
thank you again for being here, Danielle, and we'll look forward to talking with you again some other time.
All right. Thank you.